Hi, at the moment we're lucky enough to have both the Santamonica and the 750 Ducati F1 in stock for sale at Lusso, and so I just wanted to take a minute to look at the differences between the two, because there's quite a lot of changes on to the Santamonica over and above the standard F1. I mean, first of all, these are a very rare bike. I think there's 203 produced, and it was a special edition to celebrate Marco Lucanelli's win at Misano in the Formula 1 TT World Championship. And lots of the parts that are on this bike were copied across from the factory race bike, and there's sort of the reason for them being on there. Some of the obvious ones, we've got 4-pot calipers down the front there, floating discs, which are mounted on 16-inch wheels. Now the standard F1 has a 16-inch front and an 18-inch rear, but the special edition bikes, in particular the Montjuic and the Santamonica, had these split rim 16s, and they're quite unusual because the centre's magnesium and made by Mavic, and the outside rim was made by Acron. So there's two different manufacturers to make the one wheel, which is quite strange, but you know, they're a lovely thing, very light and quite trick looking for the period, you know. Also on here you've got an aluminium Velicki swinging arm, as opposed to the steel one on the standard F1. 40mm Dell'Orto carburetors over and above the standard 36s. These had some fairly wild camshafts in as well, and I also understand that they had a close ratio gearbox. And so there's really quite a lot of big changes on this bike over and above the standard machine, and that the camshafts and the carburetors in particular really did increase the performance of the bike. The factory claimed 95 horsepower, which I think is a bit ambitious, but you know, all the same, for a very lightweight 750, it did mean that it performed very, very well by comparison to stuff in the time, you know. And also, vented dry clutch on these as well, over and above the standard F1 machine. So it's a very, very sort of high-end, tricked out bike, and they only produced a couple of hundred, like I say. So it's a very rare, very lovely thing. I like the colour scheme that they did it in, works very well for me. And I just think it's a lovely thing to see. This particular bike's low mileage, just on 24,000 kilometres. Very original, very, very nice. Really, really lovely machine. You know, we were lucky enough to sell these new here all those years ago, and the F1 became quite special to us back then, and has always remained so. I think it's quite nice in the fact that it's pure motorcycle, the standard one or the special edition. There's nothing on there that doesn't need to be on there. So it's got, it's very lightweight, it's very basic. We've got open carburetors, open exhaust. There's no emissions, no restrictions, nothing. They're just pure and utter, almost race bikes on the road, which you don't get now, and you haven't really got since this time. And so for me, it's one of the last of the pure motorcycles, and they're just lovely to ride. It's got all the power you need, really, if we're honest. Handling wise, they're just sublime. You look where you want to go and they just turn, because there's no weight, no resistance. And they're a very free, very fun bike to ride on the road. And of course now they're very collectible too, so you get the best of both worlds. I'll come and grab the camera and just show some of the details. Okay, here we see the 4-pot calipers I talked about, and the floating discs. And you can see Acron on the rim there. And there's the aluminium Velicki swinging arm. You can see it's stamped Velicki on the top. All these were dual seat, which the later bikes tended to be. I think the massive Dell'Orto carburetors there are incredible. You could lose a small child down there, no problem at all. These had a bigger exhaust on too, actually, as one of the other features to gain power. It was a freer flowing riservato per competizione system that they put onto these, which was a lovely thing. And then if we look across to the standard F1 here, you've got floating discs on this, but only with a normal 2-pot caliper. This particular bike's a single seat. Funnily enough, this one's been upgraded to have the bigger silencer on there, but that wasn't standard. It had a Conti on there as standard. If we come around this side, you can see a little bit easier. Obviously got the 18-inch back wheel, and it's a solid disc on this one as opposed to a floating disc on the special edition bikes. And you can see the smaller 36mm carburetors, which, to be honest, are probably big enough for a machine this size, but it's always nice to have the big 40s on there. So I just thought it'd be interesting to sort of compare the two, being as we got them side by side, and allow you to see the differences against one another. Hope you enjoyed that.